What's up guys, Scoopman 5000 back for another action figure review, and today we're finishing out the main wave of the Flash movie. So we got Earth 2 Flash, we got Ben Affleck, Batman, and we got the Dark Flash, the mystery character. We already looked at the main trio, we also looked at the Batmobile with the unmasked Batman. The only other pieces left are the Bat Cycle and that Bat Wing, if I even ever decide to buy that. Got these in from the McFarlane store. Ben Affleck, Batman, a whole can of worms here. Let's get him out of the way for now. Barry from the Flashpoint Earth. So that's a very interesting figure. I'm pretty excited for that. And then the Dark Flash, like I said, a mystery character. We really don't know anything about this guy, and we know a lot about the movie otherwise. And I really do like this artwork a lot. Very cool stuff, whether it's promotional or whether it's made by McFarlane. But we're not here for packaging. We're here to open up some figures. So let's go ahead. Let's get these guys out and take a look. And we got to start with the Barry Allen from the alternate universe. And for accessories here, you're getting some lightning effects. These are different actually from the Prime Flash. I think these are reuse from the Snyder Cut version, if I remember correctly. Here you can see the trading cards for all three figures. Again, I really like the artwork they're doing on these. I think it's unique to McFarlane. I don't even know if it's exactly promotional artwork. Really good job. We'll actually come back to Dark Flashes later on. And what we're left with here, a very unique character design. Something that might have the most fun factor of the wave. So what we have here is Barry Allen. This is not the same character, so you're actually going to be standing both up on your Flash shelf. Alternate universe version. Somehow he's going to get powers as well. He needs a suit, so he goes into Keaton's Batcave. This is the Batman Return suit. You could tell from the chest and the abdomen armor. So what it looks like he's going to do, he's going to chop those ears off. He's going to stick his headphones in the place of the lightning bolts and spray the whole thing red. So really fun design. When we get to the head sculpt, they're not always the best. Can definitely see some Ezra Miller in here, but this is almost like a pouty lip version of him or something. He looks a little awkward. And actually, going back to my original Flash comment, so for this version, I said how the small head and the body proportions of McFarlane did this one a favor. Now, if you look at promo pictures for this guy, it's supposed to look gigantic. It's an ill-fitting giant Batman cowl. But because of the way McFarlane figures are proportioned, it actually looks like it fits him way better than it does in the movie and in the posters we've seen so far. So again, likeness not the best, but we're here for the rest of the figure. And I will say, I think this paint job is executed pretty incredible because it looks like they took an airbrush to this figure and intentionally kind of missed the sides because, you know, Barry making his makeshift Batman costume would have been spraying it from the front real quick, spraying it from the back real quick, put a little stencil for the lightning. And then even in the abdomen pieces here, you know, they didn't hit every spot. And the helmet is a different material, so it takes the paint differently. Things like that I think are really interesting. And you could look at kind of each side of the figure and has a really nice airbrushed effect. When we get down to the boots here, some more lightning bolts painted in, and that looks really good as well. I was curious to see how the back would be because there's supposed to be a cape in this area. It almost looks like it's like way too glued back. I think this should be sticking out more. I think that's the one drawback, that this Batman cowl is not as noticeably large and abnormal looking as it is in all the promotional shots we've seen so far. For articulation, this guy is done like a couple Batmans are, including the Year 2 version, where basically the head and the neck are one piece and you're getting all your articulation down at the top of the chest. Now, I'm almost surprised they didn't give Keaton Batman this same thing. One, they could have saved on the mold because of this guy unmasked. They had to make a new neck. And also because this is how a Keaton cowl would move. It's actually better than a Keaton cowl would move because, as I said previously, the whole piece is one cowl. So this movement's actually a bit more accurate, but because of that, totally hinders him from looking up and making any kind of running pose. Now, that may be a joke in the movie, maybe, that he can't look up, or I'm sure they'll mention the Keaton cowl and its limitations, but still doesn't make it any less frustrating or not as fun as an action figure. So really not looking up at all. Down is a little bit better, but even still, really not getting movement. The tilt is going to have to do a lot of the work here. The shoulders are going up past 90 degrees, so that's always good to see. Obviously back and forward. The bicep cut, very tight, like it was on the main Flash figure. Just checking. It's definitely not reused, but they have a very similar muscle shape, which is actually pretty good. Attention to detail. Double elbow with that sculpted in elbow pad. Goes up that far, all you needed to do. And then a beautiful sculpted hinge at the wrist, up and down. Very tight, but it will work for you if you give it some love. Solid at the torso. The middle layer here is soft, and then obviously the diaper. So with all that in mind, you go back that much, forward not much at all, and then side to side, attitude motion. Kickback, pretty limited. Ass in the way as it is in a lot of these McFarlanes. Kick up is very decent, although it does go out to the side a bit. Split can be achieved, more or less. Double jointed knee goes all the way back. Then the ankle goes down. I think the rocker's in there, but it's pretty stiff. Can't forget about the trademark toe hinge. And then for comparison, we'll start him out with his Prime universe counterparts. We got the Flash movie on the left and the Zack Snyder Justice League on the right. Now, out of these three, this Batsuit version definitely has the worst likeness. I think the other two capture Ezra Miller in a way this middle one doesn't. But that being said, the Batsuit might make a better Flash suit than the actual Flash suits are. Although I am liking this figure more as I play around with him. And then here's Barry 2 with the rest of his team. We got the Supergirl on the right, and then unbelievable presence on this Keaton Batman. It's been a couple days, but this guy you don't even have to pose. Just stand him just like that. He looks amazing. For some odd reason, you want to throw him in your comic shelf. Here he is with 3 Jokers Batman and Rebirth Superman. And here he is with the Justice League versions of Ben Affleck Batman and Henry Cavill Superman. Now let's look at the mysterious Dark Flash. And we have no accessories with this figure, which is kind of disappointing. I mean, he's a Flash figure, and as much as I dislike the lightning effects McFarlane does, still feels strange without them. But we'll go ahead and take this time. I said we'd come back to the trading card. I want to look at this bio with you, because I don't know anything about Dark Flash. I have a couple theories, but here we go. As he pushes the boundaries of his powers, Barry Allen encounters a mysterious and terrifying vision amidst the Speed Force. Something, or someone, is seemingly using the abilities of the Flash for nefarious purposes. Of course, the real name of Dark Flash is unknown, so that doesn't really tell us anything. I thought maybe the bio would finally give us a little spoiler into who this Dark Flash really is. I think there's some Kryptonian, Doomsday kind of stuff going on here with the spikes and the bones sticking out of them. That description almost makes it sound like the Black Flash, which is basically the Grim Reaper of the Speed Force that kind of punishes Barry or other Flashes if they're messing with time. That would make sense. So I'm sure some combination of that will turn out to be true. Some people have said this is actually a third version of Barry, which I can't entirely discount. The whole movie has to do with the alternate Barry, so that would be thematically right. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. For the figure, I opened him up and I felt him around. And I really thought that this was a clever reuse of the Plague Spawn. I have that figure, he's buried somewhere. But upon looking at pictures, I don't think that's actually the case. And McFarlane, I'm going to give you permission. You are allowed to reuse parts. Because they don't really do it that often. I mean, obviously we get a lot of repaints and swappable head situations, or lack thereof, I should say. But when it comes to unique characters, it's pretty rare that they're actually reusing body parts. And I can commend them on that. It's eating the cost up. And we get a character like this Dark Flash, we don't know anything about him, and we put a pretty decent amount of effort into it. Now we'll start up at the head sculpt. That's basically the only point of interest, other than just the rest of the mangled black spores coming out of his body. This figure, I will say first of all, looks great underneath the lighting here. He didn't look that great in the packaging or the other pictures I was seeing, but right now, I took him out the box, put him in this light setup. He looks awesome, because you're actually getting all the detail when the light hits him this way. And what I didn't notice at first is all this green and brown kind of splatter on his head there. And that's what seems to be actually carrying down to his neck and almost dripping in between his chest where the lightning bolt logo is cleverly created. Now when we go to the card artwork, it looks kind of like fire or lightning, you know, something with energy and heat to it. And even the eyes are bright and orange. But on the figure, he looks almost more like a zombie, and he's got this like alien green and brown blood. So we're going to have to wait and see what that looks like in the movie. So again, the eyes, I guess they're supposed to be orange, but they're pretty pitch black back there. And even the mouth there, this screaming expression, it looks pretty good. Even from this direction, like it's like he's being pulled backwards. I don't know if you could tell, but the way the head is sculpted, I think that looks really good. So I'm actually pleasantly surprised here. This guy might end up being one of the sleeper figures, one of my favorites from this wave, actually. Is it a Kryptonian? Is it a Doomsday creation in the Lex Luthor fluids? Nobody really knows. We're going to have to wait and see. For the rest of the body, I would think it's just all one color of plastic, but it almost looks like a very faint kind of dry brush is gone over here, or it's like a marbly plastic, a mix between black and gray. Now, of course, could it use a highlight to bring out even more? Of course. But that's just something we're not used to with McFarlane's anyway. For articulation, he seems like he's going to be pretty limited. The head, not really looking up. Down is decent. Side to side motion. Now the shoulders and the shoulder pads and the chest, it's all one big piece here. There's not like any overlays. It's almost 90 degrees, so really not bad. I guess they did sculpt it in such a way. That's actually not bad. The torso, oh, we're revealing more paint apps there. He goes all the way back and forward. I guess I didn't do the rest of the arms. The elbow, double elbow, but kind of blocked by all this crap going on. Sculpted joint at the wrist, split out, and I heard something snap there, so I'm not going to go any further. But there you go. There's your roundhouse kick on the other side. Going back, and Dark Flash is cheeked up, so he's not moving back that much. Forward is even worse, actually. The worst forward kick of this whole wave. Double knee, very stiff. I don't think that one's going to move. Let's try the other side. Yeah, so definitely heat this guy up if you're really wanting to get him into extreme poses. But it is there. I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm not willing to go that far and break my figure. And we're getting some ankle rocker. Back on the ankle is pretty good. Forward, and the toe hinge. For comparison, here is Dark Flash with the other two flashes of the wave, the one we just looked at, and the Prime version. And here with Michael Keaton Batman and Supergirl. If you wanted to square off with your Justice League, here he is with the Three Jokers, Batman, and Rebirth Superman. And here's an interesting one with some Flash villains, some Dark Flashes in their own right. We got the Reverse Flash and the Dark Flash from Death Metal. Not a lot of similarity here other than in name, but still cool to see these two together. And let's cap off the wave here with the strangest figure of the bunch, the Ben Affleck Batman. This guy's actually got some accessories, and it is just a pair of fist hands, but it's something. But let's get right into it. This guy here is supposed to be Ben Affleck, and it's not really working out. It's not really there. So the pictures first came out for this guy. First of all, I'm just excited to have another Ben Affleck Batman, and probably the last one. And of course, the suit is gray looking, and I think it's blue in the trailers, but that was probably added in post. So that's obvious. There's obvious things wrong with it, but something was more subtle. I didn't notice it until I got it out the package here. His eyes have no paint, and I think that more than anything is really throwing off the look of this figure, because Ben Affleck Batman obviously being a live action suit, you see those eyes peering through, and so that's not doing any wonders for the likeness, which is already shoddy. Now obviously we haven't really seen the cowl in action, or at least that much of it. It definitely doesn't look quite like the Ben Affleck cowl. It just looks like a generic New 52 style cowl to me. And then that chin, that jaw, that lip, I mean, they're trying. It's square, but it's not really Ben Affleck. If we go in and bring in the tactical suit version, much better likeness. The head shape, mouth, the jaw, even the shape of the cowl and the head. Much better. Now, obviously, these are different suits, but it is supposed to be the same character, the same person. So it's a really weird figure. And when we get down to the rest of them, well, first I'll mention the cape. It's similar to the Keaton one, but it feels a bit worse, actually. But that being said, there isn't as much to go over. The scallops, I think, are different from the Keaton version. That is correct. These are much wider on the Keaton version. And now we get to the Batsuit. And we were close to having a pretty standard Batsuit, but they had to go armor it up. The armor is on top like an exoskeleton. And from everything else we've seen, and I've seen some really great repaints of this figure already, basically this is supposed to be like a silver harness. The Bat logo should be sticking out much more. And now I'm not a customizer, I never claimed to be one, and I feel like I always bring up customizing opportunity on this channel. But I think I love Ben Affleck, Batman so much, and this is wildly inaccurate, so I might go ahead, buy another one of these, and I might try to paint this one up. Dip my toes in on customizing, because I think there is potential here. And maybe even I'll throw a Mezco head on here once I get my Snyder 3-pack. I'll have a couple Ben Affleck heads to work with. But yeah, you could see the chest. It's, like I said, it's supposed to be an overlaying harness, and this should all be silver, but it's just one color black plastic on the torso. And really same goes for the rest of the figure. There's a slight variance of a gray to a black, and then obviously the belt is painted like a dark brown, tan, gold color. But this is definitely one where either they didn't have a lot of reference to go over, or they just really didn't bother that much. I mean, apparently Ben Affleck is really not in the movie that much, so at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I think there is potential here, like I keep saying. If you go through the sculpts here, even the back, which you'd never really see, good stuff. But disappointing as a package. Now for articulation, can it redeem the figure? And that's pretty good. That's better than the Flash can do. You get a nice upward look there from Batman. Down is pretty bad because he's got a big ass chin, side to side. Shoulder going past 90, that does what you need it to do. Now the bicep is big and chunky and tight, but it is there. Double elbow does what you need it to do. Same for the sculpted wrist. This one sticks out a bit more, but still a little bit of sculpt in there. Torso is all solid pieces, and then the trunks are still that rubbery, but even a bit more firm than we're used to. Back goes all the way. Forward, not as much. Side to side motion. Kick back. He's got a tight ass, but it's still blocking him. Forward, really bad on this guy. But the out is good, and you're going to need that for the bat cycle, and you're also going to need these thigh cuts, which we don't normally get on a McFarlane. So there you go. They work like they're supposed to, a bit stiff. Double knee, goes up all the way, down at the ankle, going down that much, forward a little bit better. Ankle rockers kind of there, and the toe hinge. So that's about it for the figure. Now there is a rumor we're going to be getting a Batman vs Superman edition for this rumored Batman 5-pack, and good lord, I hope that is true. We need a good, definitive Ben Affleck. No offense to the tactical suit, offense to this a little bit. Batman vs Superman, that's the best design of Batman. We need that in McFarlane toys. And here's our Flash Batfleck with the tactical suit versions, and I'm a little disappointed to see this because this figure on its own is way too short for the McFarlane size. Just to give you a bonus comparison, I'll take out the unmasked Bruce and throw in Superman here, and if you look, Superman much taller than these two. That's not the case. Ben Affleck taller than Superman, so you're gonna have to do some creative posing if you want these two to be together. Now here he is with the more appropriately sized Three Jokers Batman, which would be a good base for Batfleck. Also with Rebirth Superman. And that's going to do it for the Flash Wave. And here's all the figures together, including the unmasked Keaton. And I gotta be honest, I think this is probably McFarlane's best movie wave. Now, I don't know if that's a negative towards the rest of McFarlane's movie waves, or if it's actually a compliment to this one. You can decide that for yourself. But I think we got more hits than we do misses here. I think really the only major disappointment is the Ben Affleck Batman, and depending on how you think that Michael Keaton likeness is back there. But the rest of these figures, I think Supergirl, both Barrys, Batman 89 especially, look at this dude, and even Dark Flash impressed me. Very solid lineup, and some new faces, some familiar faces. I'm excited to see this movie. I don't like being excited because I feel like I'll be disappointed, but we are where we are right now. As for what else we can get from the movie, the only thing I can think of right now is General Zod. Michael Shannon, we need that character. We're not going to have many opportunities to get him. We need to get him now. Walmart exclusive, I don't care. Something. So hopefully that comes to fruition from McFarlane Toys. And then a repaint of this Batman would be nice. Redeem it a little bit, maybe a new head sculpt, but I don't see that happening. I might end up picking up the Batwing, but honestly that thing's a bit too rich for my blood. But I am getting some FOMO, so we'll see. I think I'm also going to maybe make a YouTube short about the Bat Cycle. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to see my review of Supergirl, Batman, and Barry, check out the other video, as well as the video I did on the Batmobile. And stick around because I did say our next video was going to be Batman 89. That was a lie, but I am going to be taking a look at this Mezco 112 Collective Batman that's coming up hot next. So make sure you stay subscribed for that one. As always, I'm going to leave it off with some figure photography. You can see all my figure photography over on our Instagram. And I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.